All right. Shalom, shalom, and welcome back. This is for those of you worldwide. Those of us under pavilion. It was just to turn off the camera and turn back on. All right, we're going to deal with part 2. And that is, we're going to be looking at how we were given Torah and what the Torah actually said at this point. All right, so if somebody would read Genesis chapter 26, and I just want you to read what's called the A part, which means you go, if you have the King James Version, but most Bibles do, go to the colon and stop. It's just the first part of the verse. Anybody?
Genesis 26.
No. Verse 1, chapter 1, verse 26.
And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness.
Okay, pause. See it? So, people want to say that our represents more than one God. No, it doesn't. Yahuwah is one. That's going to be part of our mantra forever. We're going to learn that as who we are. Hear Israel, Yahuwah, your Elohim is one. So he's going to prove that this is one. He once again is speaking to his creation, and he's speaking to earth. When you do the research, you'll get it. But right now, I just don't have time to go that deep into it. But he has been speaking to earth this whole time, or he's been speaking to the creation the whole time. So the creation has been working with Yah in doing everything Yah says. He says, earth, bring forth grass. He says, water, bring forth fish. Water be like, all right. The air, bring forth some birds. So Yah has been working with his own creation to do everything that he does. When he gets ready to make man, there is a union between him and earth that Yah is personally getting involved with. So he says we need to make man how? In our image, which means that man will take on the image of the earth. Paul goes deep into that when he talks about there are those of the earth that's earthly, and those of terrestrial that's terrestrial, and celestial bodies, and he does all that, right? Because he's going back to the idea that when it came to us, Yah made us from the soil. But we are not just soil, because Yah does something. He makes him in his image and likeness, so that we then have attributes like Yah. That is going to set us apart from all the animals of the world and all the beasts of the world. All right? And then dealing with mankind, he says, and let them have what? Dominion. Okay, so one of the things given to man at creation was dominion over. All this is important. Y'all need to write this down. Is dominion over. So that there was no created being or created thing that should have been able to talk to Adam about anything that went contrary to Yah. Why? Because Adam had a dominion. Did I say that too fast?
No, got it.
So here he was given dominion, which means when he finally, and we know he actually fails later on, right? But that's why he is able to be judged. Because the thing that caused him to fall was lesser than him. The thing that caused him to fall was under him. He had dominion over, but he gave up his dominion. And I would say the same thing about Chihuahua, but I'm not going to do that today. I'll get to her later. But even if she said to him, the snake told me that this is something, he'd be like, no, we're not talking to snakes, are we? You let a snake say something to you about what Yah said to us, or what Yah said to me? See, he had dominion. So we'll get to that in a moment. So one of the things that he's given in creation is dominion over everything. But let's break it down. The fish of the sea. So anything in that water, come talking crazy, shut it up. Fowls of the air. And over the cattle, no, more is not here. Oh yeah, it's right here. And over, come on, keep reading. And upon,
Over all the earth.
and every what?
Everything that creepeth upon the earth.
What was that snake doing? He was creeping. So do you understand now? Y'all not being mean. Adam was thwarting the authority. He is giving his authority up. And Chua too. But I'm not dealing with her right now, but that whole conversation was so out of pocket. When we get to chapter 3, we'll see it. But for now, I just want you to know, the creeping thing did not have more power than him. So Yah created man in his what? Let's roll with it. Verse 27. His what?
Own image.
Own image. This is not a prejudiced statement. This is a factual statement. The very first man, Adam, looked like what me and you would call a black man. I don't use that term black no more. Y'all been breaking me away from it. Because the word black is not accurate. It's a not accurate term. It's a derogatory term that means slavery, and it also means the devil. All right? What he makes man is brown. He makes him out of the soil. Now, of course, he's dark brown because the richer the soil, obviously, the darker it is. That's just the truth. So he's dark brown. Soil is dark brown. And if you were to take any color soil, even this, if I had some water right now, I could just scoop up a handful of this soil, and I could just pour this in it. And it's going to get darker. Now, how much darker if I mix it with blood?
What's that word? Adomi?
If that's what it means. It literally, his name is earth and blood. Earth and blood. Doma and Adoma. Adam means earth and blood.
Same description that they give for King David, right?
Ready is this color here. Ready is like this brown color here. That's what you would call a ruddy color. When you see this is a sidebar, but you know how everybody keeps talking about the red heifer sacrifice. And when I was a Christian, it was so funny. You know, we get close to the end because they're finally able to get a red heifer, and it takes a lot of different breeds and breeding, and it has to be perfect. A red heifer. So all my life, I started thinking they were trying to make a cow that looked like this. I'm like, man, they can make a red cow. I gotta see this. Then I started studying Hebrew and found out that ain't no red heifer. It's brown. And there's a gang of brown cows all over the world. Matter of fact, on your way home, y'all probably see a brown cow. That's a red heifer. If it's a brown female, it's a brown cow. Cows are called heifers. Female cows are called heifers. That's a red heifer. So it's not a special cow. I don't know why the people did that. Try to throw you off. No, it means brown. Same way Adam means brown. There's no red. And as far as color, like this color, would be a different word.
Do you know where that whole thing comes from? I always remember reading in scripture, like that's supposed to be the covenant of Mashiach.
Oh, the red heifer sacrifice? Yeah, that's in Leviticus. Where it's the only time that a female is used, a female animal, is required. And it's the only time that the entire animal is consumed, burnt. And it speaks of the fact that Messiah was totally submitted to Abaya, as like a wife should be toward her husband, and that the sacrifice of our King was in totality, that he gave all he had, nothing left over. It means he was totally consumed in the work. Yeah, but they said that you can't keep those feasts, those sacrifices until they got a red heifer. And my point is, those things are everywhere because they just mean brown in Hebrew. So in that particular case, you had to get a brown one. A lot of people say it had to be brown because it was another identifier of our King, that he's also brown. It's deep, man. We start really looking at this stuff. And of course, we got the revelation of his description anyway. So Adam is a mirror image, or I'll use the word mirror for now, but physical image of Hamashiach. So however Adam looked, that's how Hamashiach looked. That's how Yehoshua looked. When he makes Adam to look like Hamashiach. Y'all get that? When I was a kid, I kept trying to figure out, how does God make a spirit? How does God make, because I used the word, how does God make somebody look like a spirit? Because in his own image and his own likeness. Well, how does God make someone in the image of a spirit or in the likeness of a spirit? But then when I started studying Hebrew, and I was like, no, that's not what he's talking about at all. He's saying he's using earth and he's using the image of Hamashiach to form man into a being that looks just like him. What did the second Adam say to his disciples when they said, show us the Father? Huh?
You see the Father. You see me. You see the Father.
The Bible is so complete. It's so perfect. And what is Hamashiach called in the book of Romans? Literally, he's called the second Adam. So if the first Adam looked like the Father, then the second Adam got to look like the Father too. And then when you get to Colossians, it says Hamashiach is the visible image of the invisible Yah. Go all the way back to Genesis. If you want to know what Yah looks like, you're going to have to look at what Adam looked like and look what Hamashiach looked like. All right, that's important. Why? Because there would be a time when the European would show up and decide, we don't like the black color. We don't like the hair like lamb's wool. So we're going to change the image. And by changing the image, they can then attempt to change the Torah. I'll get into that later. Changing the image, because pictures speak louder than words. That's why everything is about image today. It's about what you see. That's why they keep going with these phones and pictures. Why? Because that's how people are really taught, through pictures. That's a sidebar, but it's not. Because that's why you can put up a picture of a European, and that European can literally tell people, you don't have to keep the law. And you could be holding your Bible and reading it, but you see that picture and go, the law's done away with. Because they've attached that to that image. But you cannot put an image of a so-called black man, I don't use that term no more. You can't use that image and say the law been done away with, because when you see that face, you be like, no, it's a law somewhere. Somebody got a law going somewhere. You know, when I look at your code, I don't think just any old thing can go on in this house. Can I come in your house, man, and if I don't like something, just start moving it around? Walk by you, man, get up out your chair. I'm sitting here. Go up in your refrigerator, and if you try to move my hand, I'll be, it'd be on, wouldn't it?
It'd be on like, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so my point is, because you got rules for your house.
Yes, sir. sir. Yes, sir.
That's all I'm saying. And everybody knows that. Or you should know it. All right, get back in the text. I'm rambling, but it's good to talk like this because it opens us up to some things. And believe it or not, I'm only going to be up here a few more minutes. Watch what he says here. Don't laugh. I'm through with you, Cole. So he has dominion. He creates man in his own image. And it says, male and female created he them. So, very important to note that even though Yah creates man, and from man he creates the woman, it was still Yah that created the woman. Because there's another teaching out there today that's so crooked and twisted that they say that Satan brought the woman. Mm-hmm. And some people say that Chua was the second or third woman that Adam got. It wasn't his first wife. His first wife was some other person named Edith or something, Judith or something. Lilith. Yeah, something like that. And listen, I stick with Moses. Moses said. So we know that Yah is the creator of both. And he made them what? No, fluid. And he made them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, plus people. Is that what the Bible says? Yes.
The word now, when you look it up in Hebrew, it means a memorial too. So if he made him in his image, it was a memorial to him.
Oh my goodness, that's what we're talking about. So that's where we're going with this whole thing. That man, by his very creation, his very image and likeness, was like Yah. Even his power. He's even given dominion like Yah. It's amazing when you slow it down and read it like it's supposed to be read. So now you start again. For those of you who didn't catch the introduction, my intro was about how man is being looked at today as weak or dumb or afterthought or needless. You don't need no man no more. I'm my own. I do it all and all that. And they are totally disrespecting the work that Yah has placed in the Torah to show us how important man really is to his creation. And in reality, man is the crown, not the woman, the man. He's the crown jewel of creation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No more, you being prejudiced. You being, what do you call that word?
Sexist.
Huh?
Sexist.
You being sexist. You being a bigot. No, I'm not.
Misogynist.
Misogynist. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. The emphasis of the Bible, you're going to find out, is about the man. And whenever we find woman rule, we find problems. The only time we find woman rule, I think, in Deborah, where she had like she was a judge. But even then, she told Barak, "Hey, I'm going to battle. You can come with me. Because if you ain't going, I don't know." He was like, "Girl, I'm coming. You ain't gonna have to be out here with all these Hebrews by yourself. I'll be here." So the point I'm making is this. The majority of the time we see a woman confronting one of Yah's men, oftentimes what she suggests is not in line with Torah. And it puts a man in a position to have to choose. And 99.9999% of the time, he chooses whatever she says. Which puts her in a very interesting place. She's then placed in a position to where she primarily is the only being made that can pull him off track. Everything else, he can get over it quick. I think if that serpent would have came to him talking mad, he'd have just stepped on it. Has Yah said, I know you're not questioning Yah. I know you're not talking. I know you ain't. I have dominion over you. You ain't supposed to be, what are you doing even talking to me about this tree at all? Know what I'm saying? But she's different. She carries a particular amount of power. She even got the father of our faith, Abraham, to sleep with his concubine. I mean, with her maiden, in order to have a baby because the promise wasn't coming fast enough. Now, I'm not talking about Grandmama Sarah, but she was out of pocket. Yah didn't talk to her about going to Hagar and having a baby and her trying to raise somebody else's child to be the promise. None of that was in the Bible. She was just tripping one day talking about it, like, you know what, I think I'm gonna help my husband out with his whole call thing and his whole, like, I'm supposed to be, you know, through his seed, the world's going, I can't have babies, so let me help him. I don't think it had anything to do with malice, but it had everything to do with that wasn't the word that Yah said. You brought another word in the picture.
And so all this, like, women, like, trying, like, not intentionally trying to derive, but deriving our issues off track, basically from Torah.
So what I want to show in today's lesson, because again, these lessons are to stimulate your thinking so that while you're up on the hill and doing whatever you want to do up here, this stuff will be rolling around in your mind. I just want to show you how important the man was to Yah. And then when he decided, when he was working with the man, he was already decided to make the woman, but he was not going to make the woman someone that should be able to talk to him about disobeying Yah on no level, because he was given dominion. So they should have never been able to have that conversation. We'll get to that in a moment, because he got the Torah. Torah is the instruction. It went to him first. Let's keep reading. It says in chapter, where we at? Oh, yes. So here we're going to hear more Torah. And Yah blessed them, and Yah said unto them what? So very first line in Torah, another line in the giving of the Torah was to have kids. Anywhere in here do you see where it says, kill your kids? Have abortion? Go on birth control? Or did it say multiply? Yeah. Hold on, Morgan. It's expensive today. And? You think it wasn't expensive when my grandmama and them had 16 kids? 12 kids? They all made it. They all helped out when they got a certain age. They went to work and found out something. Man, if everybody get a job, instead of one person making $20 an hour, if 5 of us is working at the same time, we're making $100 an hour. I know it's quiet. I get it. I'm just trying to show you there's Torah here. Every time I see one of our sisters today having the baby, I'm always encouraging. I've never said a word like, ain't you got enough kids? You have kids until you just can't have no more. That's your business. Y'all said do it. It's perfectly fine. Get a bus if you have to. It was 8 of us. I'm from a family of 8. We had a station wagon. And back then they didn't have no seatbelt laws. My dad had a pickup. We all would jump in the back of the truck. On the freeway and everything. I know y'all don't believe me. Right here in Madera, I grew up right not too far from here. We just jump in the back of the truck. I don't know how we survived all these years, but we did it. There's 8 of us. My mama just couldn't have no more kids after my baby brother. I always tease him about that too. I say, man, your head was so big. Well, my point is, none of us, when we talk to each other now, none of us would trade our childhood. It was so full and so rich and so interesting. Everybody was always doing something. And when you continue to read the Bible, we find out that children are a heritage of Yah and a blessing. And it says, blessed is a man whose quiver is full of them, which is another picture of saying that he has, it's a picture of these children are like arrows in a quiver. So when you get ready to go hunting, you have a bunch of arrows. So like if you shoot and this one misses, you can shoot again and hit that one or whatever. It's better to have more than one arrow. And he was like, children are like that. You know, you might have 10 of them. 6 of them might be, but that might have 4 good ones. Just keep having them till you get a good one. Or you might have a whole bunch of good ones and get one bad one and be like, ain't no big deal. I got 9 good ones. I'm good. I know that's cold-blooded. Huh? Y'all like, no, Maury, don't say that. You have to love them all the same. Okay. We love them all the same, but they don't all turn out the same. Can we keep going? That's Torah. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. And then he says, told them this, and subdue it. Don't let the earth subdue you. You subdue the earth. You know what we're dealing with today in the world? These people who worship the earth. They worship the earth. And that's why here in California, we've been having these crazy storms and fires. Because they don't want to cut down a tree. So because they don't want to cut down the trees and harvest, then they grow and they get sick and they're overgrown and then one match. And we then lose all of them. Instead of harvesting them, because we're supposed to subdue the earth, which means the earth is under your control. It doesn't run you, you run it. You make sure it stays the way it's supposed to stay. No, now what happens? Millions of lives lost, millions of dollars spent. I can go on and on. What are we doing to our oceans? Polluting them, killing all the fish, doing all that. That's not we are supposed to be guardians of the planet. I mean, are polluting our air. What's going on with the water? And even this country, let's talk about America. How can we be the richest country in the world and people turning on faucets and brown water coming up? So obviously we're not keeping the Torah. Because if we were keeping Torah, we would be on top of all that. This earth don't run us. We run the earth. We subdue the earth so that it works for us. I tell people who try to have a garden, I said, now look, don't just go out there thinking you can just plant and set it and forget it. It don't work like that. When you want to have a real garden, if you don't go out there and tend that thing, you're going to go off for a day or two and come back. You'll be like, wait, what happened here? Like the New Testament, an enemy has done this. Weeds will take over and choke your plants out. So my point is, Yah gives you the mindset and the ability to go into your garden and go, okay, this should be here, this shouldn't. I'm going to help this grow on that. That's a part of Torah. All right, let's see what else he was given. Subdue it, have dominion, he says again, over the fish of the sea, fowl of the air, and over every living creature that moveth up on the earth. Now he's also given Torah in food. And Yah said, behold, I have given you every herbs bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. Now that's important. Every tree in those days produced fruit that also had a seed inside. What's going on today? Fruitless and seedless. A fruitless mulberry tree. What is that? was a kid, we used to love the big old mulberries, the blueberry, blackberry. You go under the tree and just, now they said, we don't like it because they make a mess on the driveway or in the yard. We don't like orange trees with oranges no more because we like the leaves, but we don't like the fruit because nobody wants to clean it up. And the powers that be, you know what they do? They just love that. They're like, oh, you don't? Then I can charge you $2 for an orange. I can charge you. You want an apple tree with no apples? Yeah, good. I'm gonna charge you $3 for one apple. When your tree will produce 100 apples. I keep telling my daughter, she always laugh about this. She's here. And people tell me about the price of food going up. I said the price of food never goes up. It's always been the same since y'all put it here. Seed, soil, and some water.
I think they do it just to be in control over the seed.
Yeah, of course, it's a plot. But catch what Tamore just said. The price of food has never gone up since y'all made it. The price is still seed, soil, and water. And a little time. It never has changed. If you have a yard outside, you do know the same water that's growing grass can also grow all your food. They say, man, it's so expensive in the store, then plant you some plants. But that's a whole nother story. I'm going to put that out there. All right, so we have food given to us, and it's, by the way, it's the best food. We would be more healthy if we were vegetarian. Now, I'm not saying vegan. It's a totally different thing. To me, veganism is now becoming a religion. And I'm not down with that. But a plant-based diet for sure. We are closely related to the plants. And they work, and the fruit of the trees and the ground work perfectly with our bodies. Why? Because we were made from the same soil.
And doesn't he relate us to trees? Doesn't he also relate us to trees?
We do. Hey, that's true. We are related to trees in the script. All right. Now, let's keep going for a couple more minutes, and then I'm really done for today. And he says, it should be your meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every herb for meat. And it was so. And Yah saw everything that he had made, verse 31, and behold, it was very good, told me, and evening and the morning were the 6 days. Thus the heavens were finished, and the heaven and the earth were finished, and the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, Yah ended his work which he had made, and rested on the Shabbat, and from all his work which he had made. And Yah said, and Yah blessed the Shabbat and sanctified it, that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. Now that is really the ending of chapter 1, but in your Bible they make that the beginning of chapter 2. But here's the true beginning of chapter 2 in verse 4. These are the generations of the heaven and earth when they were created in the day that Yahweh made the heavens, every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. And Yahweh had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. There went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So now we are getting in chapter 1 the overview. In chapter 2 we go back and we detail it. There is no contradiction. In chapter 1, the overview. In chapter 2, the detail. All right? And Yahuwah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there put the man, so we know that the Chihuahua was not here yet. Put the man where he had formed out of the ground, and and out of the ground, Yahuwah made Yahuwah to grow every tree that is pleasant to the eye, good for food, the tree of life which is in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of, and there's our text, good and evil, which is really Tov and Ra. But it's function and dysfunction. So what does he say? Go past those rivers and get down to verse 15. He says, and Yahweh took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it, Torah, another instruction. And Yahuwah, Elohim, commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may what? Freely eat. That's Torah. Here's your instruction. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, now let's fix those words. The tree of the knowledge of function and dysfunction. I don't want you dealing with that tree. Why? Because it's strange that we have a tree that actually bears a fruit of function and dysfunction. Now, why did he make it? Let me tell you what he did. He just made a tree. And he tells him, don't eat this one. Why? Because man needs to, on an everyday basis, every single day, man needs to choose Yah. So therefore, Yah places a tree here and says, choosing me every day means not eating from dysfunction. Things are so bad now. I just looked at my time, and I'm gonna break this. I'm gonna stop this lesson. Have some question and answers. Things are so bad now. We're so far away from this that we have people telling us that unless you have experienced dysfunction, you don't even know what life is. So we got men telling their kids that they don't know nothing until they spend some time in jail.
Women the opposite way.
To use prison and jail as a rite of passage into manhood is dysfunctional. I remember when I was growing up, I didn't grow up in the city, I grew up in the country. And we didn't really have hoods in the country. We just was country. We had open spaces and animals and all that. And there was no like gang wars and all that. I didn't know anything about that. And we really didn't even have drugs like that. And people just kind of did their own thing, mind their own business. But I remember the first time my father, when I was a teenager, the first time he drove me into the city and we went down, he took me to what they call Skid Row, or, down there where, homeless and drugs and prostitution, all that. And I remember my reaction to just seeing it. I said, nobody lives like this. Now, I didn't have the biblical knowledge to say this is dysfunctional, but I did have my experiential knowledge to say whatever this is ain't right. You ain't supposed to be living like this. What happened? And he said, everybody out here at one particular time made a bad choice. And that choice led to another bad choice, led to another bad choice, and they ended up there. And he said, you're at a point in your life where you don't have to make any of those bad choices to end up here. I'm like, wow, that's a weird thing for a father to do. Back then, I thought he meant, okay, just don't be smoking no dope, don't do drugs, don't become an alcoholic, you'll be cool. But that was enough to let me know that was a part of dysfunction that he was trying to tell me as a dad. You didn't grow up dysfunctional like this. You grew up in a functioning family. Father, mother, blessed to have it, 'cause especially when I look today. But you also didn't grow up, living on the streets and having to try to survive out there. And he said, and you don't have to do that. So that kind of advice has changed completely. People are telling people now, man, if you ain't know the hood, man, hood life is real life. Wait, that's real? So having a mother and a father and going to school and getting a job and becoming educated and buying land and invested in homes and land and houses and cars. So that's fake. So the real is the hood and the fake is everybody else? Or is it the other way around? Are the people in the hood the ones living fake? Living and fighting over land that they don't own. I never saw that in my life. You, a gang member, fighting for a piece of property that don't belong to you. You can't stand on my street, and the man come by and say, get off my street. And you got to get off his street. That's not your street. But I have my own land. My father told me when I was 18 years old, he said, buy some property. Back then, property was cheap. I just started buying a property here, buy a piece of property over there. And then he said, son, listen to me. Get a house. I don't care if it's a shack. Everybody else was getting apartments when I was growing up. My dad told me to go buy a house. But the apartments was all nice and furnished and da. He said, son, I don't care if it's a shack, a one-room shack. He said, me and you can turn that shack into anything you want it to be. You're a builder, a contractor. Ain't it true that you can take just a regular building if it's yours? Electricity's there, right? Water's there, everything's there, and turn it into what you want, and it's yours. And it's steady appreciating the property and making you more money. Whereas the other thing, all I'm trying to show you is there is a picture of function, and then there's a picture of dysfunction. And when we eat function and dysfunction, what will happen is that which is functional becomes dysfunctional. Did you get that? When you eat from both function and dysfunction, the function doesn't make, this is going to sound like a riddle, the function doesn't make the dysfunctional functional. The dysfunction makes the functional dysfunctional. Did you get that? It's like if I take water and poison. If I have water and poison and say, hey, either one of these is cool. You're like, nah, man, poison and water. I say, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to mix them. If I mix the poison into the water, it destroys the water. Right? I put water in the poison or poison in the water. Either way it goes, the water is ruined, not the poison. The poison will still kill you. So that's what we have to understand also about Torah. When we try to mix the world and we mix the words of the devil and the words of Satan and the words of everybody except Yah into the Torah, we don't clean up the world. We soil, really, in essence. We start soiling that which is Torah.
It just reminds me of something I say a lot. Because I say this a lot. I say half a truth is a lie.
Half a truth is a whole lie. My mama used to say that too.
And then a half a lie is still a lie. And so what you're saying is.
Yes. Truth stands alone. Now, all I wanted to prove or show you on this morning was that Adam had a complete Torah. He had the whole thing for life eternal. And he would have been living his best life. Somebody is going to show up and tell his wife that they're not living their best life. It could be so much better. You could be as God. We'll study that tomorrow morning. But today, can you see how wonderful it would have been if Adam would have just said, whatever the Torah, that's how we live it. We're not going to the right or to the left. Why? Because there's nothing in the world that can make us do it. We have dominion over everything else. Any questions?
Melchimah was teaching in the book of Leviticus where a woman can make a vow, and as long as the father or her each, if he hears it and
He don't agree with it.
he don't agree with it, then she could be forgiven.
Mm-hmm. She can break the vow.
For Adam and his Isha.
So we're gonna get to that. I told you I wanted to just talk about. Okay. Well, hallelujah. Oh, and by the way, I should mention this on the video. If you're supporting the work of the Ark Torah Rabbi, you already know how to do it, and we appreciate, and we are trying to continue to put in work to help wake up Jacob. So if you want to support the work, you can always go to the website. It's always written down, and make donations. And I pray that what we're teaching and trying to give is a good return on your investment. Hallelujah. 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 All right.